There have been some interesting updates in the firestorm that is brewing in Fulton County over the FBI raid last week, where the FBI showed up unannounced with a search warrant and seized the 2020 election ballots from the Fulton County Election Office. They seized other stuff too. And you can go back and watch my prior two videos if you haven't already to catch you up on that. But that's all you really need to know for now. As you can imagine, when the FBI showed up, it caused a great deal of emotional upset to the Fulton County commissioners. Not lost on anyone is the fact that these commissioners are all playing for the blue team, and the FBI is technically currently playing for the red team. And so this all comes back to the president's claims that the election is stolen. That has made them very angry. You get the gist. So many different statements have been issued by these different Fulton County commissioners. One even said this is an attempt to intimidate people, I think, from voting in the upcoming elections, which I don't see the connection. I don't feel intimidated. And I would think, if anything, it would motivate people to want to vote. So anyway, another Marvin Arrington, who is another Fulton County commissioner, had mentioned that they were going to seek to have these ballots returned, and they were going to file a motion to try to get them back. Well, now we know here Wednesday, February 4th, that motion has been filed by the county attorneys. It's filed in federal court. We can't see the motion because it was filed under seal. However, this is their first legal step to attempt to get back all of the property that the FBI raided and took last week. Now, those are the facts. I am now going to move to some legal speculation to try to explain to you what I think they may be arguing in this motion. Federal law allows you to, if you are a party who has had items seized, to file a motion to get those items back. And you file it in federal court wherever the motions were seized, or wherever the property was seized from. And so it is presumably filed somewhere in the Northern District of Georgia. And it's likely that they are arguing one of two things or both. We know based on news reports that they said that they were seeking to get the affidavit associated with the search warrant unsealed. So when you, in this case, it was an AUSA out of Missouri that went to this judge in Georgia and asked for the search warrant. When you ask for a search warrant, you file an affidavit, which is a narrative signed by you, which explains why you need the search warrant, what it is that establishes probable cause in order for a judge to say, yeah, okay, you can have a search warrant. And so Fulton County wants to see what is in this affidavit, because certainly they're going to argue that the judge did not have sufficient probable cause to order the search warrant. So basically saying, search warrant's bad, you didn't get to take it, you got to give it back. Now, as a criminal defense attorney, we argue probable cause all the time, and we lose all the time because it is a very low threshold. It's important to remember the AUSA here that went to this judge doesn't have to prove that the election was stolen. He doesn't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a person or multiple people committed a crime. It's a probable cause standard. So you're looking at things like reasonable grounds to believe, fair probability. It's a little bit loosey-goosey because they're not expecting you to be able to prove things beyond a shadow of a doubt. And remember, and we talked about this a little bit in my prior videos, even if it's just one or two people that they're going after that may have committed a crime associated with this election, that may be enough to establish probable cause to seize those documents. They don't have to go into a massive conspiracy in order to get a search warrant under these circumstances. So that's possibility number one, that they are arguing that the search warrant itself was bad. The other thing that they can argue is that they simply need to get this property back. Because the criminal case is still pending, the burden is on them to prove why they should be able to keep and hold on to these items instead of the FBI or the federal government, or arguably something to the effect of, well, they can't have the originals, they can only have copies, things like that. But here's where it gets kind of funny, because when it's the government, there's always something hilarious that goes along with it. So we have this likelihood, and we kind of saw it in the way they were all wringing their hands, that, oh my Lord, they've taken these precious ballots. Well, oopsie. There was an AJC article, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that was talking about some of the confusion that had unfolded when the FBI raid started, okay? And they got the body camera. And in this AJC article, they say, and I'm quoting from the article now, speaking with an officer during the raid, Fulton Elections Director Nadine Williams speculated that those groups were using, don't know which groups, were using the FBI to get them for free. Okay, so probably the people that were trying to get them through the civil cases. And she says this, quote, they think we destroyed the ballots, but we didn't, Williams said, according to the officer's body camera. Here's where it gets good. Quote, this is Nadine Williams. If you want to take 700 boxes of ballots, have at it. So they can go make paper airplanes for all I care, close quote. Oops. So we have the Fulton County commissioners saying this is the most terrible thing that has ever happened. How dare the federal government touch these sacred ballots? We must have them. We must be the ones to care for them. And their very own elections director is overheard saying they can go make paper airplanes with them for all I care. I suspect if that becomes an issue, there will be an argument that that was taken out of context or something like that, because it doesn't help their messaging at all if she's saying she doesn't care what happens to those ballots. All right, so moving on. I also want to point out a grand irony. If you are a Young Thug fan, today is your day. Because as many of us know, part of the YSL case where Fonnie Willis seized rap artist Young Thug's property and held it for years. And I'm talking, I think overall it was like millions of dollars, it probably was cash, cars, jewelry, seized it and tried to keep it under civil forfeiture. Okay, and had to go through a whole fight where eventually almost all of it was returned to Young Thug. But their position was that that was ill-gotten gain because he was a member of a gang and not because he was a successful recording artist who had worked hard and earned all of the things that he had. So absolutely outrageous from my point of view that they tried to basically steal Young Thug's property. So we have the Fulton County DA that tried to make that move. And then we have the Fulton County Commission suggesting that the FBI cannot be trusted to hold on to ballots. Ballots that, by the way, likely would have been destroyed had it not been for multiple civil lawsuits that had kept them from being destroyed. So if that's not ironic, I don't know what is. So if you are a Young Thug fan, you get to laugh at Fulton County today. How dare they suggest that the FBI can't be trusted to hold on to ballots when they tried to steal a private citizen's property under civil forfeiture for millions of dollars. It's pretty outrageous. All right, one more thing I want to tell you about. So Rob Pitts is the chairman of the Fulton County Commission. He is one of the guys that came out real quick with the hand wringing and the, oh my Lord, this is the end of days because these ballots have been seized. He had a press conference and I thought that I know he plays for the blue team. He's mad at the red team. All the sniping is expected, but I thought he got a little irresponsible because he mentions in this press conference a quote, a source, doesn't say who the source is, but says that a source had called him before the raid and had told him that arrests were imminent. And the arrests didn't happen. Instead, there was this search warrant that was executed last week. But he says, quote, something sinister is going on and that arrests are still forthcoming. Well, he's trying to spin it and you can see the beginnings of what they're going to kind of argue. Theoretically, if these ballots are explored and problems are found that are evidence of a crime, it is entirely possible, based on the way we're seeing them say, we can't trust the FBI, this is sinister, that they may make an argument that, well, whatever irregularities were found in these ballots, they weren't like that when we had them. You know, we had audits, recounts done. We are, clean Marines. And so whatever changes were made must have been made once they were removed from our possession. So you can see the hints of that already coming along. And so we're just going to need to watch to see how that unfolds, because I suspect if wrongdoing is found, that may be one of the arguments that they make, and they're already starting to make that argument. So I will keep you updated.